The Gaza ceasefire is on the brink of collapse after Israeli airstrikes killed at least 104 people in the enclave, according to Gaza health officials. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out strikes late Tuesday, saying they were in response to an earlier attack by Palestinian militants that killed one Israeli soldier. The renewed violence marks the deadliest day since the ceasefire began and raises questions about whether the truce can survive. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly ordered the strikes shortly after the soldier's death, calling the attacks a measured response against Hamas positions. His office said, Israel remains committed to the ceasefire agreement but would not tolerate what it called terrorist violations. Meanwhile, Hamas officials said Israel had clearly breached the deal and vowed to respond if airstrikes continued. The group insisted it was still committed to the truce, but accused Israel of escalating the situation for political gain. US President Donald Trump, who has been mediating between the sides, said, "Nothing is going to jeopardize the ceasefire," and urged both parties to exercise restraint. Despite those statements, airstrikes and rocket exchanges have continued across several areas of Gaza, including Gaza City, Khan Yunis, and Rafah. Witnesses described multiple explosions overnight and reported that several residential buildings were destroyed. The Gaza Health Ministry said most of those killed were civilians, including women and children. Hospitals are now struggling to treat the injured amid shortages of fuel and medical supplies. The United Nations has called for an immediate halt to the violence and urged both sides to respect the ceasefire terms agreed earlier this month. On the Israeli side, military officials said their forces targeted Hamas weapons depots and command centers. They accused Hamas of firing mortars and rockets toward Israeli border communities even after the ceasefire took effect. Analysts say both sides are blaming each other to avoid appearing weak, while the actual ceasefire terms remain unclear. The situation on the ground remains volatile. Residents in Gaza say they fear another full-scale war if the fighting continues. Aid agencies warn that any breakdown of the truce will worsen the humanitarian crisis in the enclave, where most people already rely on international assistance. For now, both Israel and Hamas claim they are still observing the ceasefire, but the growing number of casualties suggests otherwise. With more than 100 lives lost in less than 24 hours, the question remains whether this ceasefire can hold, or if Gaza is sliding back into another devastating conflict.